This one's a classic. Candace Owens' career in the past few years has almost been defined as a rebellion against the race baiting that happens in modern society, which is exactly why this exchange with The Hill's former host, Crystal Ball, got pretty heated. So subscribe to watch for yourself exactly what happened before we dive in.
I mean, you've got a big platform.
I do.
Right? And you have a powerful voice.
Thank you.
And kudos to you for creating that.
Thank you.
How do you view the responsibility that comes with that?
I view the responsibility of just being a person that maintains my ability to have an opinion, that I express an opinion, and no means that I say that I have just found the facts and this is related.
Yeah.
And I always reserve the right.
You said there's 0% chance.
Yeah. I said I'm going to go out and say that there is a 0% chance that this was sent by conservatives. I find all the things that are going on, the caravan of illegals, the packages that are being sent,
and Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation. And just to clarify, you think the caravan too was organized by Democrats?
I find it to be incredibly suspicious timing, so that they are meant to get to the border on the day of the election. Again, this is not rooted in fact, but you do have to understand I am very much entitled to my opinion, and Twitter is my platform.
The passive aggressiveness here just jumps at you from the screen, even through the smiles, but it's interesting to hear Candace and Crystal go after each other in hindsight, because we now have the full details of the mail bomb incidents that happened back in 2019. It was a guy named Cesar Sayok who mailed homemade and ineffective bombs to prominent Democratic politicians, including Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden. But it is really fair to describe that guy as a conservative. It was a guy in his late 50s with a long history of criminality, using politics as a bad cover for his criminal behavior. He was arrested and sentenced to 20 years in prison, as he should be, but the more you look at it, the more it appears as an isolated criminal behavior by a deranged individual, and less of an act of a coordinated political violence that finds the approval of the larger political culture around him. And perhaps it's outright not a game worth playing when you take criminals and try to extract a case from them against your political opponents, especially when they disown such a criminal. But in this conversation, now's the time that the passive aggressiveness starts to spill over into actual aggression, with Crystal Ball not even caring that they're going way over the time limit for the program.
Just one more here, because I wanted to get to know you before you came on.
Yeah.
And I'm really interested in your perspective, because I think you're a fascinating person.
Thank you.
There was another tweet that said, the Democratic Party is comprised of racist white liberals.
That is correct.
Am I a racist white liberal?
Well, let's go back. And let's say, I will say this, that many people in the party are not aware of their own racism. Let's go back to an early part of this conversation where you said to me, are you concerned about the color in the White House? Why would you ask me that question?
Because you speak about black issues.
No, but why would you ask me? Well, let's get to really the nucleus of this. Why did you ask me that question today?
Because
why did you feel that I needed to be concerned about that?
Because you're bringing a whole group of young African-American leaders to the White House.
Okay, so this is something that I talk about often, is that in many ways, white liberals don't realize that you put on that, the racism and the conversations that we have.
So you're saying I'm a racist?
You haven't let me finish my statement. You keep cutting me off.
Go ahead.
Okay? The emphasis that you place is always on having a discussion about race, okay? You guys are insistent on having a conversation about race and telling us that we should see, and implying that we should see race everywhere, and I don't agree with that. If you don't look at me according to the color of my skin, you would simply ask me how I thought that Trump was doing as a president. But instead, you try to drum up a conversation that's surrounded by race by asking me, are there enough black people in the White House?
You're bringing a whole group of young black leaders to the White House.
Color,
so
I don't.
That's something that's important to you.
But why are you talking about?
Then why make it that you're going to bring young black leaders to the White House? I mean, this is sort of absurd.
Because the media, as in the whole,
this is absurd. You're bringing this group to the White House.
It's not absurd. I'm making perfect sense.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear.
I'm trying to be extremely clear with you.
I know.
And in the service of clarity, did Crystal Ball just try to compare race baiting questions to Candace speaking to people in the African-American community at an event? It's not the gotcha question she thinks it is, because even in those conversations, Candace Owens reaffirms the need for a colorblind view of culture.
I've watched them over the past year sanction the violence of Antifa against black conservatives. They have referred to all of us last year in the same exact room. CNN referred to all of us as paid puppets. They said we were paid to be in this room. Because they cannot fathom that we would ever have the courage to stand up and to tell them no more. No more victim narrative, CNN. No more victim narrative, MSNBC. No more telling us that we cannot do something because of the color of our skin. No more fear politics. No more attempts to scare us into voting for you. No more lies. No more half-truths.
And this was said during a summit at the White House, and you're not going to find anything in the entire message that tries to aggravate or play on racial divides. And what's intriguing is that even as the modern left would speak in terms of things like implicit racism or implicit bias, it's failed to return the canon inward and realize it's also implicit racism to suggest that there's something wrong with the racial makeup of people in the administration. That commits the same mistake that racists in the past have committed, which is trying to attach behaviors or interests to skin color, and it never ends well for society. What's needed is to purge the cultural conversation of these innuendos because they seem to be so baked in that someone like Crystal Ball doesn't even recognize what was wrong with her question to begin with. Even more so, she tried to particularize the charge to her personally, trying to put Candace Owens on the back foot, which didn't really work out well.
You view me as a racist white
I think
liberal.
that you're not. First off, you put those words in my mouth, and you keep saying it. So I'm not. I said that the Democrat Party is comprised of racist white liberals. Is every person in the party racist? No, but you're not aware of the fact that you put these racist tones out into the media. This is why we have to bring the black conservatives to the president, because you create a narrative when you're on TV like you did today.
Are you
I'm going to have you on radio later because I have questions for you as well, but we actually have to get out of the segment now.
Do you think that language is helpful, though? I mean, just in terms of the nation conversation.
Well, I could ask you, do you think it's helpful to ask me, just because I'm a black woman, if I'm comfortable with the amount of color that's on the administration? Do you think that that's helpful?
I think it's helpful and interesting to know your perspective.
It's not. It's you just trying to create an undertone that Donald Trump is racist, and it's wrong.
Yeah. Okay.
That to me is the reason why.
Listen, no.
I just want to say,
you're looking at me on the basis of my skin color and making a bunch of, making a bunch of deductions. I did not. You said that, and we can run the tape back. You said that.
Here's what I want to say.
You quoted a tweet, and then you made it about
I
you.
appreciate.
You were not added, but you were not added in that tweet. So do not say that I called you that, because that's dishonest. And we are on, on TV. So you can run.
Racist.
Okay, so I did not call you a racist. You're using the typical leftist tactic of trying to make yourself a victim, which is not what I
Hold on.
No, but we're actually well beyond time.
Well, she's making herself a victim and pretending that I came here and called her a racist. So this is a typical leftist tactic.
And inside all that noise, a very important point on race was eventually lost. It's the race or the discussion around it must not become a political charge to throw around and use flippantly. You can tell both Charlie Kirk and Buck Sexton looking at each other's eyes at not even having the chance to speak properly, despite the fact that they were already over the time limit for the show. Perhaps that's a microcosm of the stifling political culture we live in, where hot-button topics become landmines that can be set off at any moment. Crystal Ball herself probably understood that culture or stifling free speech on the far left when she got into trouble with MSNBC's management for daring to criticize Hillary Clinton on her show. She detailed in a podcast with Joe Rogan that she was quietly pulled aside after the show and told to, quote, "Great monologue, everything's fine, but next time you do any commentary on Hillary Clinton, it has to get approved by the president of the network." That's a sad reflection on the state of the MSM, as well as a reminder of how important it is to keep having these conversations in a civil manner publicly. Let me know in the comments how you think we can do that, because it seems like a lot of people lack the discipline and appreciation to do it these days.